All right, welcome back, everybody. We are now in episode 3 of the Elden Ring All Bosses walkthrough. For anybody watching the last episode, I apologize for the audio issues that were going on. For whatever reason, the mic was only picking up on like the left side of your headphones. Don't know what was going on there, but I think we've got it fixed and should be good to go now. So this episode is going to be all of the Weeping Peninsula, which we can't really see right now because we need to get the map marker, but it's going to be this entire area down here. Much smaller than Limgrave, so this episode should not be nearly as long as the last one. But if we come down here, we'll meet a new NPC right off the bat.
Hello,
we need to talk to Irina and exhaust her dialogue all the way through. She'll ask us to deliver a letter to her father. We'll deliver the letter.
Deliver it.
Perfect. Alright, a bunch of enemies down in this area. You can choose, you can fight if you so choose. So there's a new enemy, Misbegotten, which you'll be seeing a lot of them throughout the game. Alright, new Ash of War Scarab. Alright, and then we've reached our next site of grace already for this area. And a merchant. Alright. We have no money right now. But we'll definitely want to get that stone sword key. Do we have anything to even sell? Look at that. We're rich. Okay, so we'll buy that. This Crimson Amber Medallion, if you didn't choose this as your starting gift, you're now able to buy it from this guy. We'll call it good there. There is a Spirit Spring right here. If you just follow it up the cliff, it will take you to a rise that we're going to go to in a second. But if you look over here to the right, you'll actually see a tower on this wall. We're going to jump towards that instead and pick up one of the best items in the game, the Great Turtle Shell. So this is a shield that only offers, I think, like 89% fizz block or something like that. Let's see. Oh, 94. Okay, it's a little bit better. But not 100% physical block. So if you are going for a, defensive build, might not be the best choice. However, if you look down there at the bottom in the middle, oh, sorry, not at the bottom, but in the middle, it says the turtle is a symbol of tirelessness, and the shield boosts stamina, recovery, speed. So we'll be equipping that once we're not in heavy load territory. I have not even leveled our endurance a single time, so we'll have to do that for more equip load, but very good item to pick up for sure. And if you don't know how shields and their passive effects work, you don't have to have it in your hand to get the passive effect. You can have it just like on your back, and it will give you that stamina recovery speed. Alright, some wolves here to take care of. Ouch. Come on. Dude. There we go. Okay, now up at this rise, you'll see that the door is blocked, and there's this little statue here. If we examine it, it says, seek 3 wise beasts. What you're supposed to do is look for these translucent turtles, and there's 3 of them, and you attack them. So there's one. The second one is just here hiding in these bushes. And the third one is actually invisible, but if you come over here to the water, you can see it splashing around. Boom, just like that. There's an indicator that's right there. Seal on the Rise opened. So now we can enter. And a reward up here is a memory stone, which if you're doing a spell build, spellcaster build, those let you increase the amount of spells that you can attune or memorize. I guess that's what it's called in this game. All right. Now we can make our way over here for a new Site of Grace. There is a large group of enemies here, as well as an Alabaster Lord that's going to enter in. We've already fought one of these guys before, just at the end of the Limgrave episode. This one's a little more powerful, though. Stagger, finish him off. Perfect. All right. Now, if we come over here, there is a statue that leads you to the catacombs that I was just talking about. So we can examine that. It's pointing over there, but if you go over there, you'll see it's just a ledge. So you can see it's pointing down towards where you actually need to go. Now, across the way over there is a new area. Well, not new area, but like the other half of the Weeping Peninsula. We're not going to go there for a bit. First, we're going to take care of this catacombs over here. So just come down to this point, and there will be a little path on the side of this area. Alright, this is a great dragonfly. You'll want these to be able to craft like poison staunching boluses or whatever, like that counteract poison and rot, which we will find later in the game as well. So anytime you see one of them, just take a second to take them out, just to prepare. Alright, and this brings us to the Impaler's Catacombs. We'll go ahead and rest up here. Alright, now you want to be careful here, as there's going to be an imp that's crawling up from the side. We'll just hit him off the edge. Nice. Should be just those two. Yep. Okay. Alright, watch for the ambushes. Get some extra runes from that guy. That's very nice. Okay. Okay, so as you walk onto this floor in here, the floor is actually going to raise up. You can look up at the ceiling and there's a bunch of spikes. So we're going to use it to raise up to come get this item real quick. And then as you step off, it will lower back down. So what you want to do is Oops, we might die. Ouch, okay. We'll jump this time, make sure we get in. Okay, so as it raises up, you want to go underneath and drop down. This game's a little bit nicer than Dark Souls, because in Dark Souls 1, that definitely would have just insta-killed you. Alright, in this little sewer area, you're going to see a bunch of these putrescent corpses or whatever. I can't remember what they're called. Don't even bother with them because they respawn infinitely, so it's not really worth your time to try to take them all out. Alright, we've now made it to the switch to open the boss door. Ouch. Always check your corners. I need to take my own advice. Okay, and then jump through this window, and boom, we're at the boss. Whoa, that was a stutter. Alright, and here we've got another Erdtree Burial Watchdog. However, there's a bunch of imps in this room as well that you want to definitely take care of, because they're the true boss. Burial Watchdog, piece of cake, but these guys, man, just imps are the worst. Alright. Now we can focus on the boss himself. Whatever, we rolled. Boom, boom. Oh, the stab. I'll take that trade. Oh, what? It didn't let me riposte. What in the... Why did that one-shot me? That... Okay. I guess I took counter damage there for some reason. That was really weird. Alright. Ooh. That was scary. There we go. That should finish him off. Alright. Okay, well that is it for this catacombs. Instead of teleporting to the front, we're just going to go back to this rampart bonfire. Let's level up a little bit, because man, clearly we need a little bit more HP at this point. Oh, we can't level up. Cool. Alright, what we are going to do is pass time, because there is a Knight's Cavalry that spawns here at this gate. It's just right up there. And will you, like, actually come attack me? Man, he is being so obnoxious right now. You can fight him on Torrent if you want to, but from my experience, it just turns into a freaking, like, jousting event. It's hard to find, like, good opportunities to actually attack. So I prefer to just fight on the ground like this. Alright, horse down. Let's get that riposte down. Very nice. Alright, that should give us enough runes to level up now. Okay. Now we're gonna come up to this side road over here. Ooh. And, oh, you know what? Before we do that, let's actually grab the map for this area. So the map is just past here. In the distance, you can see Castle Morne, which is the last place that we're going to clear out for this area. And be careful, there is a Guardian Golem way back there with a great bow. He's shooting at you. The map is just right here. Alright, now continuing on. Alright, as we get to this area, we're going to come across a bunch of enemies who have been infected with madness. So we're largely going to try to just avoid these things because if you get that madness or frenzy build up, you take a bunch of damage just all at once. However, we are going to kill these rats in here that have it. Not that you need to, but there's a couple items in here that I want that just makes it easier if we take them out. So you can see that madness is building up because rats are getting annoying in this game. Oh, great, and now we've got a villager on us. This is going really well. For Pete's sake, man. Alright, Sacred Tier here. Let's upgrade our flasks. That's the important thing to grab. Now we can get the heck out of here. Hello. Alright, Side of Grace over here. Alright, and then I always forget the pathway down that you're supposed to go. Alright, here we go. Alright, so you can take this down. To where at this bridge in front of it there's a demi-human chief. We're not going to attack him yet because there is a site of grace down here and an entire area with a couple of dungeons that we want to do. Alright, a bunch of demi-humans down in this area. You'll see these items down here. I believe you get ambushed as you pick them up. Yeah. There is a walking guy over here. I really don't know what these are called. But if you want to be guided to where the dungeon is over here, then he'll help you out. Alright. So we come over here, we come across our first demi-human queen, even though this is not a boss version. Ouch. And just like when we killed the demi-human chief duo boss, once we take out the leader, they all become scared and give up. Alright. Do have a crystal tier here to pick up. Just the Faith Knot crystal tier. Okay, and now can head to the cave of this area. This guy's still walking. And it's just right down here. Alright, now be careful as you're coming up here. You'll see this cracked floor. If you were to walk over it, the floor would collapse under you and you'd fall into a area with some enemies. So instead of falling into that trap, we're going to come over here. Alright. Couple more rats over here. Drop down slowly. Alright, and now we are at the boss of this cave, which is unfortunately a Runebear. I mentioned these guys last time in the Mistwood part of Limgrave. I hate them with a passion. And here is a boss version. The hitboxes on these guys are just stupid. Oh, and there's the grab. Very cool. We should be okay. Ouch. Excuse. But again, the hitbox. Like, what is that? There's the stagger. Not quite enough, but very close. And there we go. Runebear down. Okay. So we've cleared that out. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and teleport back to the beginning and go to the other cave that's in this area. Start getting some endurance going so we can actually, wear things and have bigger weapons. Alright, so from here we're going to want to head a little bit to the west and then just directly south. And over here where you can see that poison fog coming from these blighted blooms. Which there's a bunch of them right here. Past the Spirit Spring, and all the way to the end here will be the cave, or I guess tunnel technically. Alright, got some smithing stones in here we can grab. Alright, we can jump over here, come up this ladder. There's one of these mining dudes. Alright. Okay, come over here real quick. But actually, I think for this cave, it's actually over here that we want to go. First, anyway, to beat the level, I think we go back there. Cool. We still had iframes. Alright, watch out for this dude. Ouch. a Somber Stone 1 to pick up there. Cool. Now we can head back to that main room. Jump attacks are definitely the easiest way to deal with those guys if you don't have like a great sword, just like I was doing there. So if you're annoyed at their poise, just do that and you'll be good. Down there is the boss. I don't know where this guy came from. Another somber. Green. Now there's a freaking archer one. I don't know how I missed all these Misbegotten. I guess I misbegotten them. I should quit. Don't we look so pretty? Alright, perfect. That should be it. So now we can go take down the final boss. Another somber to get real quick. Alright, and trying to remember what the boss is for this area. Might be an Onyx Lord again. Oh, nope. Scaly Misbegotten. To unsheath again, stagger. Dunzo. Nice. Okay, perfect. Now we're gonna go back to the south of the Lookout Tower side of Grace. This is just right before that bridge with the demi-human chief. You can easily skip past this guy, but we're just going to take him out for funsies. Alright, across the bridge we go. The Spirit Spring from outside of that cave is just right there, so if you wanted to take that instead. Alright, up here we've got some Erdtree Guardians, which typically when you see some of them, it means there is a minor Erdtree nearby. And as I mentioned in the last episode, usually when there's a minor Erdtree, there is an Erdtree avatar. So sure enough, we're going to be fighting our very first one here in just a second. First, we're going to come up to this Church of America for Side of Grace and another crystal tier. Or sorry, not crystal, sacred tier. And now we'll make our way directly south. You can see the minor Erdtree right over there. And we'll fight an avatar for the first time. Alright, so if you've played Dark Souls 1, the Erdtree avatars are very similar to the Asylum Demon from that game. They share a lot of the same moveset. Wow, I got hit by one. Usually I can no-hit these guys, no problem. But I got a little greedy there. Alright, slam attack. Oh my, I got hit twice. I suck. I'm washed. I shouldn't play Elden Ring anymore. But largely their attacks are pretty well telegraphed and easy to roll through. Okay, this is a special attack, which is going to summon a bunch of lasers that will shoot at us. So just try to like move side to side as it happens. Stagger. There we go. Erdtree avatar down. Now, typically when you beat an avatar, they drop a couple of new crystal tiers for you as well. So from this one, we're going to get the Opaline Bubble tier and the Crimson Burst crystal tier, which honestly, for early in the game, two of the best ones that you can get for sure. Alright, now as we come back down, if we come over here, you might have seen the red jellyfish from before. Oh, they disappeared. Weird. Anyway, there's a few of them like hanging out here, but they're actually right in front of an entrance to a catacombs that can be very, very easy to miss. Alright, let's go ahead and level up real quick. Oops. Alright, I'm going to tell you right now, don't waste a Stone Sword key on this. It is not worth it. I think it's like a Golden Rune 1 or something in there, so don't waste your key on that. Alright, another catacombs full of skeletons. Alright, we can see the switch right there. So now the goal is, okay, how do we get up there? Ow. Come on, attack. Jeez. Got a fire thing in here. Alright, now we can go ahead and turn this off. You'll notice that there's actually a little balcony or whatever you want to call it right up there. You can actually get on top of this pillar to get up here. That is where we need to go though, so we'll wait a second before we fully commit to up here. Thank you. hit full-on ambush in here. Alright. Now we can come back up here. Not expect to stagger on one hit. That was weird. Alright, we've now made it to the door switch. I can't remember off the top of my head what the boss is for these catacombs. Oh gosh. Alright, Cemetery Shade. I hate these things. That is a ranged grab attack that it can use. If you get hit by that green like thing that shoots at you, it will stun you and allow him to just walk up on you and do a big old attack. He also applies bleed with his weapons. The only trade-off with this guy is that he's a total glass cannon, so he doesn't have a lot of HP, but man, he can take you out so fast. He's very quick with his attacks, and he applies bleed. Whew, okay. Freaky, yeah, looking. Hate that guy. There's a few of them in the game. Alright, Lutal the Headless. That is a legendary Spirit Ash that we just picked up, so very cool. But yeah, that is the Tombsword Catacombs completed. Teleport back to the front. I typically like to warp to the Site of Grace itself as opposed to using the little sending thing that you can touch, because it counts as resting at a grace, which refills all your stuff, whereas if you use the little sending pool, it just sends you back to the beginning and you have to rest manually if you want to recover your HP. Alright, making our way over here, you'll see that big old mausoleum in the background that is a walking mausoleum. Surrounded by a bunch of headless mausoleum knights. So the way these things work is you're able to get them to fall down so you can enter the mausoleum that's on top of them, and you do that by hitting these collections of skulls on their legs. Come on, it won't hit that one. They're really not dangerous aside from, potentially getting crushed by their legs, but they don't actively attack you. At least most of them don't. Some of them later in the game will have little defense measures that they practice. But for the most part, largely harmless. Now, getting into the mausoleum itself will be something that allows you to duplicate remembrances, which are special items that you can get from some of the major bosses in the game. And those remembrances can be turned in for boss weapons. But whenever you get a remembrance, you have to pick between one of two things, or sometimes three, when you turn them in. So these mausoleums allow you to duplicate that remembrance so you can get both things if you want to. So you just walk up to this corpse, examine remains. We have no remembrances right now, but now we have access to being able to do that. Once you've taken the mausoleum down, it won't go back up, so it is now permanently in this state. Now we can come up here, get the site of grace inside of this church. And another sacred tear. Perfect. Okay. Now, if you listen to this guy, he'll say, "Oh, there it is. The tower finally can return to our home bathed in rays of gold." And you can see that he's looking at that little lookout tower over there. We're going to be going there in just a minute. Now, if you come down to these ruins, watch out for this thingy that spawns. It kind of scares me, so I don't really mess with it. If you come down here, you'll find something very peculiar. If you remember Selin from the Witch Point ruins, who was guarded by that Mad Pumpkin head, well, this is actually her. But talking to her in this state does nothing. But it is important to remember that she's there for her quest. Alright. Get out of here. I hate that thing. Not that it's like particularly hard to fight or anything, but it just kind of freaks me out. Alright. Site of Grace and a merchant over here that we're going to hit up real quick. And we're going to buy this lantern. It's pretty much the only reason I ever try to make my way towards this guy. So now we don't have to use that torch anymore. We can get rid of it from our inventory. And instead put the lantern on our pouch. Because then we can just activate that and walk through like dark areas without having to worry about having something in our offhand. So very, very nice item. Alright. Gonna make our way back over here towards the mausoleum because there are 2 more bosses in this part of the Weeping Peninsula. One of them is at the end of a cave, which is right down there. Then we've got another one here in an Everjail. This Everjail does require the use of a stone sword key. And the boss is an ancient hero, Zamor, which, full disclosure, I've said this a few times at this point, I suck at fighting these guys. So we'll see how this goes over. Hopefully we can take him out, no problem. But I guess we'll see. Ouch. They do have a lot of frost attacks, as you can see there. And during phase 1, these guys aren't too bad. It's phase 2 when they just... I really have a hard time with them. Luckily, we're doing plenty of damage into phase 2 itself, which will make things a little bit more bearable. Here's his phase 2 transition. Woo. Nice. Got him down, no problem. Very, very good. Alright, he goes this Radagon Scar skill Scar Skill. Scar Seal, which is a fairly decent talisman early in the game. It raises some of your physical stats while also making you take increased damage. So it's a little bit of a trade-off, but if you're pretty confident in your ability to, dodge or avoid most damage, it's an excellent talisman to use. However, there is an upgraded version that we'll be able to find a little bit later in the game. Alright, last mini dungeon of the Weeping Peninsula. Oops, we want endurance. Yeah, there we go. Keep going on that. So I want to be able to switch over to our Bloodhound's Fang at some point. Alright. This cave is full of poison, which poison works a little bit differently in Elden Ring as far as like these poison swamps go. If you're to roll through it, it would cover your whole body in poison and make it so that you can't just like step off onto solid ground and let the status start to go down. So a little annoying, but I get it. Alright, down here we're just going to have to face the fact that we're going to be taking some poison as we kill some rats down here. There's always a giant rat at the end of a bunch of smaller ones. Alright, cookbook there. While there's no enemies around, let's go ahead and craft some neutralizing molasses. We can only afford 2. Oh, another giant rat. Alright, let's go ahead and use one of those. Awesome. Okay, now I can drop down. I'm going to largely ignore these mushroom boys. Don't really need to worry about fighting them. And we'll get to the boss, which I believe is Miranda the Blighted Bloom. Yes, it is. Miranda Blossom. There's another quote-unquote boss version of this thing that's like a duo fight. And that's the one I was thinking of. Got the stagger. Dunzo. Perfect. Okay. Now that tower that NPC was talking about, we're now going to head towards over there. Now, be forewarned, if you do this, this is another situation where there's going to be a chest at the top of this lookout tower that will transport you somewhere, and you're locked in that area until you, rest at a site of grace. However, this one is a lot more forgiving, as opposed to the one from before that takes you to Caelid. Although, if you don't want spoilers on one of the later areas of the game, then don't do this, because it takes you to said area that can be pretty cool to experience for the first time without having any prior knowledge. But if you don't care about that, then feel free to do what I'm doing here. Alright, so we'll climb all the way to the top. Hello. This guy wasn't even shooting at us. And here's the chest that will teleport you. This takes us to Leyndell Royal Capital. Look look behind you and see a lot of it. It still like hides most of the area itself, but you can see you're super close to the Erdtree, and you can see where the entrance of the Erdtree itself is. Lanedale is definitely one of my favorite legacy dungeons of the game, so looking forward to that episode. But for now, we are locked just to this area here. And you'll see, even if you rest at this side of Grace, if you try to pull up your map, you're still... Oh, wait, no, you are able to. Okay, cool. So, yeah, that's all you need to do is rest at the side of Grace, and you're able to teleport out. So, not a big deal at all. There's a Guardian Golem up here that we can fight. Always dodged too early on that. How many times have I played this game? Oof, he has got a lot of HP. That unsheath is so good for staggering enemies. Let's see, just a couple on this guy, and he goes down. So good. Alright, this should finish him off. Very nice. The Blessed Dew Talisman. Oh, I forgot to do a new Wondrous Flask of Wondrous Physic, whatever it's called, combination. But that Blessed Dew Talisman increases the effectiveness of the flasks that you drink for Crimson Tears, so very good one. Yeah, we're going to do a new Physic. We're going to get in the Opaline Bubble Tier. This one, what it does, it basically gives you a shield that for the first time that you get hit, if you've got it active, will make it so you take barely any damage at all. So, pretty cool. Alright, so as I showed you before, we are way up here at the top. So, going all the way down back south now. And back to the Castle Morne Rampart side of Grace to finish off the rest of the Weeping Peninsula. We are going to advance the time to nighttime because there is another nighttime boss. Past time, nightfall, which is another Deathbird. Just gotta remember where he spawns. I know it's somewhere over here. There we go. Oh, get out of here, you stupid bats. Oof, too early. Too early again, and we're dead. Oh, he missed us. That was lucky. Ouch. Got a little greedy with that unsheath there. There we go. That should be the end. Oh. No, barely alive. Right. Very nice. Death bird down. Okay, then make sure to not miss this golden sampling over here for a golden seed. Alright, now we can go take out this guardian golem who's shooting arrows. Which he doesn't even notice us right now. Alright, we'll take it. Hello. Well, he's just like completely deactivated. That's so weird. He's super low on health, and if I remember right, he doesn't respawn either, so just take a little time to get him down. Alright, we've now made it to Castle Morne. Right now, Castle Morne isn't big enough to be considered a legacy dungeon, but you know it's a fairly good-sized little dungeon to go through. And it is chock full of Misbegotten. And everybody's favorite Souls enemies, dogs. Alright. So a bunch of normal Misbegotten warriors up here, but there's also a Scaly Misbegotten up there. So you want to be a little careful as you're doing this section, because it's really easy to get ganged up on. Oh my gosh. That was so close to death. Whoa! I've never seen that attack. What the? I didn't know they roared. Dude, what is happening? I can't land a single hit on them. Too late on that. How much range does that have? There's no way. God, I fucking hate these guys. I swear, what is going on? I can't hit them, and everything that they do just hits me. I'm getting a little tilted right now. They dodge every single one of my attacks, and I can't seem to hit them for whatever reason. God. That was ridiculous. Right, over here we've also got a mad pumpkin head. Alright, now if you come over here, there's a ladder that you can go up, plus another Misbegotten, but we're not going to go that way because there's a few things that we want to grab on the other pathway that we can go. Alright, when you get to this point, you'll see that there are Misbegotten and, like, Godric soldiers fighting each other. These guys climb up the ladder after me. And as you get up here, you'll see there's a lot more fighting going on. This guy's still coming up. Sure is. Goodbye. Alright. We're not going to mess with most of these enemies. Ugh, what is that hitbox, man? I am beyond tilted at this point. What the f... Ugh! Like, seriously? Everything they do hits me. I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. I love this game. Alright, let's just get our runes and get out of here. You know what? I want revenge. Screw these guys. Alright, make our way over here for another ladder that we can go up. Of course. This guy just comes out of nowhere. Goodbye. Alright, then as we come over here, we can drop off to the side. The ladder that I was talking about before, that's what's right here. So, skip all of that if you want to. And of course, we get ambushed by another Misbegotten, because that's just all that happens in this freaking castle. God. Now watch out for some archers. These guys do have a grab attack that you need to be careful about. But for the most part, they're pretty easy to deal with. Alright. On our way over here, we are going to take the time to kill these guys. That's because we have an NPC that we're going to talk to that we don't want them messing with. Man, that roar. How have I never seen that roar before? And now I've seen it twice. It's crazy. Alright, so if you remember Irina from the very beginning of this area, she asked us to deliver a letter to her father, and this is him right here.
I see, thank you, but I can't, even if the cat ensure that.
So he's like, can't leave, like, gotta make sure that, you know, Castle Morne doesn't fall into enemy hands, even though you're looking around and being like, dude, it's too late, it already has. But regardless, yeah, he needs this castle retaken in order to go see Irina. Alright, so back up the ladder we go. And before we continue on over there, we're going to come over here for another drop down. An item at the end of this battlement. Ouch. I'm so tired of you guys. Alright, we can now get to our next site of grace. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, so we don't have to go through this stupid part anymore. I've never gotten this tilted by Castle Morne. It's just like, man. Alright. Let's drop down here. And you want to jump across right here. And then you can either drop down into this room or just over here to the side, whichever. They're the same distance. talk to this guy. And he says, please help, I'm in need of noble blood. Oh, yeah, I forgot. There's a sludge thingy that will, if you pick up this item and you just stand there, this thing will drop down on top of you and do a lot of damage, so be careful about that. Totally forgot about it. And then nothing over here. I'm pissed off at all these Misbegotten, so we're going to take the time to kill all of them. Alright, we get a Scaly one up here. Alright, and then just a chest over here that we can grab at the top, nothing else, so we'll just go right back down. Not really going to go in depth about what like all the talismans do. For some of the better ones I'll let you know for sure, but for each of these talismans that we're picking up, if you want to know what they do, you can just read the description and they'll tell you. Alright, we're getting close to the end of the castle. We are full on Crimson Tears, I think. I think 7 is our max, so that won't do anything for us. Alright, we've got another little drop down like before, but this time there are some beams that you can drop down onto, and this very first one has an item. And rats at the bottom. Of course that didn't land. Yeah. This castle just hates me today. Alright, and then we have yet another site of grace to rest at. Alright. There are a couple of Misbegotten over here, so just be aware one of them is a Scaly. Yeah, should have killed this guy first. That was an unintentional backstab, but we'll take it. Alright, and then over here is a ladder that you can go down, but you can drop down the side of this bridge without having to worry about fall damage. And then these jellyfish, as long as you don't hit them, they won't aggro towards you, so you can just leave them alone. And we have now made it to the boss of Castle Morne, which is the Leonine Misbegotten. Here. Oh, there's a summon sign here. Loki did not know about this, so I guess if you talk to Arena's father, he'll show up as a summon. Didn't know about that. Very cool. Alright. Leonine Misbegottens are very, very aggressive. So patience is the key with this boss for sure. As aggressive as they are, their attacks are pretty easy to predict. So as long as you bide your time, wait for your opportunities to attack, you'll be good. Nice. I took the chance there for the stagger, paid off. Oof, that was bad. Whoop. Should be the end. Boom. Our reward for beating him is the grafted blade greatsword, which is very, very cool weapon. Because it is a greatsword, it does take quite a bit of strength to wield. It doesn't have any like status effects that it applies, but its Ash of War is pretty cool, which it gives you a temporary buff in all stats, which is pretty cool. I used it a lot in my first playthrough, but definitely better weapons, but it's a fun one regardless. All right. So now that we've beaten the Leonine Misbegotten, we're going to go back to where Edgar was. Alright, so now we're going to talk to him.
I'm no long on sight. Thanks to you, and devote my Marina as I only hope.
And he says he's going to go back to Arena now. Alright. So now if we teleport back to where Arena was, we unfortunately are going to see something incredibly sad. We're going to see that Arena is no longer with us. She's been killed by Misbegotten. And Edgar is not okay.
Marina, how could this be? My daughter deserved a full life. I chose duty over my daughter, and
very, very sad.
Down and exterminate. Rest assured.
And now he's on a path of vengeance, because, you know, that always works out. Alright. But that is it. That is all of the Weeping Peninsula cleared out and completed. Alright, so next episode is going to be our first Legacy dungeon, which is Stormveil Castle. Although, wait, maybe I want to think about this. Okay, I might think about it off camera. It'll either be going into Stormveil Castle, or we might go underneath Mistwood to the Shifra River. I'll make my decision, like I said, probably off camera, and then whatever episode comes out, you'll see that that's that. But whichever we do first, we'll do the other one right afterwards, so that we cover both of them at this point, because they're pretty somewhat early level areas. But if you found yourself watching this, appreciate you stopping by. Please like and subscribe if you can. I'm going to be doing the entire game plus the DLC as a whole walkthrough, so feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on those subsequent videos. But yeah, so that is it for this episode for the Weeping Peninsula. Either next episode will be Shifra River or Stormveil Castle, whichever it is. I'm excited to do it, and we'll go ahead and see you next episode.